Hello, this is Mr. Miller and welcome to video 5.3 part 2, writing equations in intercept form. We're going to take equations that are written in standard form and convert them to intercept form, which is basically factored form. So a lot of factoring in this. We're going to start with the nicer case is when the leading coefficient a is equal to 1. For instance, here we see this is a monic trinomial, and all we have to do is just factor it to put it in intercept form. In fact, since it's monic, we can use the sum and product method. So we're looking for two numbers that add to 3 and multiply to negative 28. So monics are always a little bit nicer. So let me see. We're going to put x and two numbers that add to 3 and multiply to negative 28. I believe that would be plus 7 and minus 4. So there it is. We're already in intercept form. And we learned last time how to find the x-intercepts from this intercept form. The x-intercepts are the values that make each of the factors equal to 0. So this first factor is x plus 7. Well, if x was negative 7, that entire factor would be 0. So negative 7, 0 is our first x-intercept. The other intercept is the value of x that would make this factor equal to 0. So if I put 4 in for x, 4 minus 4 would be 0. That would make the whole right-hand side 0. So those are the two intercepts. Okay, on this one, we're going to factor. So we get y equals, it's monic, so it's going to start with x and x. I need two numbers that add to negative 7 and multiply to positive 6. And if you think about it, it must be negative 1 and negative 6. Okay, intercept form already. So the first intercept would be 1, 0, and the next one would be 6, 0. All right, the second case is when a is not equal to 1. This means the right-hand side is a non-monic trinomial. Those are always a bigger pain. All right. Here on this first one, we have a equals to 2. Okay. Well, at least I know how it starts. There's only one way to do that, and that is to put 2x and x here. All right. And I know I need two numbers to multiply to 21. All right. So I'm thinking it's either 1 and 21. 21 and 1, 3 and 7, or 7 and 3. And if you start trying some possibilities, you'll come up with 2x plus 7 and x plus 3. So that's kind of the hard part, getting a factor to begin with. But it's not quite in intercept form. In the intercept form, the two binomials start with x. We have x minus a number and x minus another number. Here we don't quite have that form. We have 2x, not x. So we're going to do kind of a strange move. This is the only time we're probably going to do this. We're going to factor out the 2. That means we're going to divide this by 2 and multiply by 2 in front. So let me show you what that would look like. So we have 2x plus 7 times x plus 3. We're going to divide this by 2 and multiply by 2 in front. So that would be y equals 2. 2x divided by 2 is x plus 7 halves. That might be a fraction. That's okay. Times x plus 3. Now, both our binomials are monic like in intercept form. So it's a little weird to begin with, but basically, if x has a coefficient other than 1, we're going to factor it out. All right. So the intercepts in this case would be negative 7 halves. That's what would make this 0. Negative 7 halves plus positive 7 halves is 0. And the number that would make that 0 is negative 3. All right. Let's give this one a try. So 5x squared, there's only one way to get that, and that's with 5x and x. Since this is negative, both our numbers must be negative to multiply to a positive. So it's either -1 and -2, or -2 and -1. And it turns out that it's -1 and -2. Okay, same thing. We're not quite done yet. We need to factor this 5 out of 5x minus 1. So we're going to divide that by 5 and multiply by 5 in front. We're pulling 5 out. So this would be 5x divided by 5 is x minus 1/5 times x minus 2. I think this is the only kind of new thing. We've seen factoring many times. All right, so x-intercepts would be 1/5 comma 0, and the other one would be 2 comma 0. All right, let's go for it. All right, 6x squared. This one's a little bit more annoying to factor because it's kind of hard to tell how to start. Do I start with 6x and 1x, or do I start with 2x and 3x? Well, you just have to try different things. I have to be honest. All right, so I'm going to try 2x and 3x, and the numbers must multiply to 3. This is positive, so it's either 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. So if you try, you get plus 3 plus 1. Now, in this example, I have to factor out the 2, but I also have to factor out the 3. So we're going to divide this one by 2 and multiply in front by 2. We're going to divide this one by 3 and multiply in front by 3. So we're going to get y equals 6. That comes from 3 times 2. This would be x plus 3 halves. And this would be x plus 1/3. All right. So the first intercept is -3 halves 0. And the next one is -1/3 0. Okay. Let's try this one. Again, it could be 4x and x. I found that 2x and 2x worked. We need two numbers that multiply to -5, so -1 and 5, 5 and -1. Maybe it's -5 and +1, or 1 and -5. One of those combinations. And it turns out that -1 plus 5 works. Okay, now 2 has to be factored out of both of these. So we're going to pull two 2's out. This would be 2x minus 1 all divided by 2. This would be 2x plus 5 all divided by 2. So we get y equals 4. X minus a half. X plus 5 halves. We factor out this 2 and we factored out that 2. So when you factor it out, you divide the whole expression like 2x minus 1 by 2, and you put a 2 in front. All right, first intercept, 1/2 comma 0. Next intercept, -5 halves, 0. Okay, so once you get beyond that, no problem. So I want you to be able to do the assignment we have posted in Google Classroom. So it ends with some examples like this. We're going to put it in intercept form. We're going to find the intercepts and the vertex and then sketch a graph. So it's kind of putting things together. This is monic, so we can just factor it with the sum and product method. We need two numbers that add to -2 and multiply to -8. That would be -4 and +2. We quickly get the intercepts from that. So there's one at -2 and there's one at 4. We need the vertex, which is halfway in between them. So remember, we can average the x values of the intercepts to find the value in the middle, 1, which we can kind of see in the graph anyway. To get the y coordinate, plug it in the equation. And you get 1 minus 2 minus 8, I believe is -9. 1, -9. So we get the intercepts and the vertex, and we can kind of sketch the graph. So a little bit hard to do, but I have the professional one there. So the intercepts at -2 and 4, and there's a vertex at 1, -9. All right. You guys have been good. We're at the very last example here. So let's do a non-monic. So this is non-monic. Well, it's going to start with 2x and x. And let me see, we need two numbers that multiply to 10. They're both going to be negative, so maybe it's -2, -5. Maybe it's -5, -2. Maybe it's -1, -10. It could be -10 and -1. These are the possibilities. But it turns out -2 and 5 work. Let me see. So that will give us -10x minus 2x and -12x. Very good. I wasn't too sure about it at first, but there we go. And now we're going to factor out a 2. So we're going to multiply by 2 in front, divide that by 2. We get 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 5. So the intercepts are at 1 and 5. And the vertex will be right in the middle. The x-coordinate of the vertex is 3. And when we put that in, we get y equals -8. 3, -8. And I'm going to do the best I can to draw my sad little parabola. All right. Well, there's the professional one. And you should be ready now to try it yourself. So go ahead, complete the worksheet, lesson 5.3, part 2, writing equations in intercept form. I want you to learn how to convert equations to intercept form, but I also want you to practice factoring. That is something that just takes experience, trying, and doing until you get really good at it. All right, take care.